afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News Roundup, dateline the 6th of May 2023. This week's headlines. Suspected Islamic State chief Qurayshi was killed in Syria. Israel strikes Gaza following Adnan's death. Israel says it killed the Palestinian gunmen who shot dead the British Israelis. Catholic weddings in Ireland are in steady decline. Ugandan Parliament passes the extreme Anti-LGBT bill. Who gets to decide what's a religion? Asks BC's Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. The coronation should trigger debate on church and state, says the National Secular Society. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has announced that the IS leader was neutralized in a Turkish MIT intelligence agency operation last Saturday. IS has so far made no comment on the reported operation. The BBC has been unable to independently verify President Erdogan's claim. The intelligence agency had been following Abu Hussein al-Qurayshi for a long time, Mr. Erdogan said. Qurayshi is said to have taken over the group after his predecessor, Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurayshi, set off a blast killing himself and his family as US Special Forces rounded on his hideout after a gunfight in February 2022. That operation removed a major terrorist threat to the world, US President Joe Biden said at the time. Al Jazeera's correspondent in Gaza, Hisham Zakut, and the Israeli army have both confirmed that rockets have been lobbed from the Gaza Strip as Israeli air raids continued to rock the besieged coastal enclave. I believe we are heading toward an escalation. This is evident in the pressures faced by the Israeli government, whether internally or externally. There are pressures from the opposition and from inside the government on Israel to respond, said Hani al-Masri, director of Masarat, the Palestinian Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies in Ramallah. Masri made his comments to Al Jazeera right before Israel attacked Gaza late on Tuesday. The escalation would not necessarily be big. It could be for a few hours or for a few days. However, things cannot be controlled if Palestinians were martyred or Israelis killed. The atmosphere is charged with tension. Israeli forces say they have killed 2 Palestinian militants accused of shooting dead a British Israeli woman and her 2 daughters in the occupied West Bank last month. A 3rd militant, who allegedly aided the pair, was also killed during the raid in the city of Nablus. Several Palestinians were injured in confrontations with the troops. Lucy D., 48, and her daughters Rena, 15, and Maya, 20, were killed in an attack in the Jordan Valley on the 7th of April. They were travelling to an event for the Passover holiday when gunmen opened fire at their car near the settlement of Hamra, 10 miles west of Nablus. Their car crashed and the gunmen fired again at close range. Rena and Maya died at the scene, while Lucy died in hospital 3 days later. The family lived in the settlement of Efrat in the occupied West Bank. In Thursday's early morning raid in Nablus, More than 200 Israeli soldiers entered the old city using shoulder-mounted anti-tank missiles and stun grenades fired from drones. Residents said they heard explosions while people were preparing to go to work and children left home for school. Outside the old city, troops reportedly fired at Palestinians who were trying to repel the military vehicles by throwing stones at them. Paramedics said 4 people were taken to hospital, 2 with bullet wounds to the legs, and that dozens more suffered from tear gas inhalation. The Palestinian Health Ministry said those affected included pupils in a nearby school. Catholic weddings in Ireland returned to a steady decline, down from 65% to 40% in the past decade. The number of Catholic weddings has recovered from its dramatic drop during COVID, and it's returned to the pattern of gradual decline that has been happening for the past 10 years. In the decade since 2012, the percentage of Catholic weddings has dropped from 65.2% to 40.5%, and non-religious weddings, civil registry and humanist, have risen from 28% to 35.5%. Non-religious plus spiritualist weddings combined are now at 45.4%. However, while 6 in 10 couples did not choose a Catholic wedding, most of the children of those couples will have to attend a state-funded school run by the Catholic Church. These schools teach Catholic doctrine about marriage, including that marriage is only between a man and a woman. Michael Nugent, a spokesperson, said, "Ireland is no longer a Catholic country. We are now a pluralist country, gradually dismantling Catholic privilege in our laws." Ugandan lawmakers approved new legislation that entrenches the criminalisation of same-sex conduct. It also creates new offences that will curtail any activism on lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender issues and eradicate LGBT people from any form of social engagement in Uganda. The 2023 Anti-Homosexuality Bill confirms an already existing punishment of life imprisonment for same-sex conduct, while also increasing to 10 years the prison sentence for an attempt at same-sex conduct. But one of the most egregious provisions, the bill calls it aggravated homosexuality, calls for the death penalty in certain circumstances, including for serial offenders or for anyone having same-sex relations with a person with a disability, thereby automatically denying persons with disabilities the capacity to consent to sex. The bill also outlaws the promotion of homosexuality, effectively instigating a system of complete censorship on LGBT issues. Anyone advocating for the rights of LGBT people or providing financial support to organizations that do so could face up to 20 years imprisonment. LGBT rights groups could also be deemed unable to legally operate. In addition, anyone who advertises, publishes, prints, broadcasts, or distributes material, including digitally, is regarded as promoting or encouraging homosexuality and would face criminal sanctions. The bill also criminalizes any person who fails to report someone they suspect of participating in same-sex acts to the police, calling for a fine or imprisonment for 6 months. Effectively, supportive family members or friends of LGBT people could be imprisoned if they fail to report their loved ones to the authorities. If anyone conducts a same-sex marriage ceremony, they could be imprisoned for up to 10 years. A provision in the bill also outlaws providing accommodation that facilitates the offence of homosexuality. If anyone were to rent a room to a gay couple, for example, they could go to jail for 10 years. See this video. Our Canadian correspondent, D.P. Higgs, who is head of the British Columbia Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, has been dealt another cold plate of pasta as BC's ombudsperson has rejected an appeal against the removal of his pirate-hatted picture from his security licence. The office of the BC ombudsperson told Gary Smith, also known as Dread Pirate Higgs, that his complaint regards a religion not recognised by the BC Human Rights Code. Smith, however, asked, who gets to decide what is and is not a religion? Smith submitted 2 photos to the Security Program Division, one without a head covering and another in which he wore a tricorn hat. A picture without the hat was issued. On April the 12th, a letter from the Ombudsperson's officer Irene McGee to Smith said he had objected to the hatless photo being used. I wear a hat covering as an expression of my religious faith, he wrote. She said, you asserted that the Charter of Rights and Freedoms gives you the right to be depicted in the head covering. You explained that you had provided the other photo under duress, out of concern of delay. You later wrote that you no longer consented to the Security Programs Division using the photo with no head covering. However, in 2022, Smith renewed his licence and a document with him wearing his pirate hat was issued. But, McGee said, the Registrar of Security Services soon said the licence had been issued in error and a new one without the hat would be issued. Smith was told to return the hatted licence. She said her understanding for the complaint to the ombudsperson was that Smith believed he was the subject of religious discrimination. King Charles's coronation should trigger a debate on the future relationship between church and state, the National Secular Society has said. The NSS has criticised the coronation as an unnecessary and expensive religious ritual, which is incompatible with democracy and equality between citizens of different religions and beliefs. The coronation is estimated to cost taxpayers as much as $250 million. Polling by Nat Sen found only 3 in 10 Britons think the monarchy is very important. That's the lowest proportion on record. The ceremony today was led by Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby at Westminster Abbey. It was an exclusively Anglican ceremony in which Charles swore an oath before Welby to preserve the doctrine and privileges of the Church of England. At her coronation in 1953, Queen Elizabeth swore to maintain the laws of God and the true profession of the gospel, and maintain in the United Kingdom the Protestant Reformed religion established by law. She also swore to preserve all such rights and privileges of Church of England bishops and clergy. Due to the Church's established status, 26 bishops sit in the House of Lords as of right. Charles was expected to swear the same oath. As king, Charles also holds the title of Supreme Governor of the Church of England. Catholics are explicitly prohibited from becoming monarch. Charles and Queen Consort Camilla were anointed with consecrated oil. According to the Westminster Abbey website, this sacred blessing, using the ampulla and spoon, is at the heart of the Christian coronation service, demonstrating the connection between the monarch and God. This part of the ceremony was not televised due to sensitivities around its sanctity. Free Thought Channel has no live Free Thought Hour show today. We thought that we would be unlikely to attract an audience against the competition of world stars performing at Windsor Castle. Next month, Atheism UK and the Origins Project are staging an event in London, Changing Minds in Changing Times 23. The link follows this outro. And don't forget to watch Views on the News, our panel show about this very news. This has been Global Atheist News. The GAN team will be back next week. Thank you for watching. Hello, people. We've got an event. This is fantastic. We've actually got an event coming up on June the 4th in London, featuring, amongst others, Lawrence Krauss and Richard Dawkins. Are you coming? What do you think, guys?
Oh, I think we have some stellar names there. Tell me more about what exactly Richard Dawkins will be doing at the event.
Great question. Well, he will be presented an award. I will present him an award, and then he will be interviewed by his old friend, Lawrence Krauss. So the two of them will be on stage for half an hour or more, and at the end of all of that, we'll get a chance as members of the audience to ask him questions.
Who else will be talking?
Yeah. Well, we've also got Professor Sophie Scott from the Neuroscience Department of UCL. She's a great speaker. I don't know whether you've seen her latest speech. I think it was she presented to the Royal Institute or some such august authority. And she's a great, there's comedy in her speech as well as information. So I'm really pleased that she's agreed to come and speak to us. And we also have Blay Whitby, Professor Blay Whitby, who is an ethicist. That's a branch of philosophy, as you know. And these people will all be speaking about the challenges that face humankind thanks to scientific developments. There have been so many breakthroughs that our society, our culture is going to be overturned or upturned in the next few years. And we have to be able to respond to that. And Blay will propose some possible ways that we might have to react. And then we've got Keith Porteous Wood. He's coming as the representative of the National Secular Society, one of our sister organizations. So we're building bridges.
So well done, John. Good plan.
Great. Thank you. Well, I haven't mentioned the cherry on the cake yet, because not only will there be book signings by our celeb guests, but there will also be an auction. It'll be on eBay, but it will terminate during the event, of a portrait of Christopher Hitchens. This is an actual painted portrait of Christopher Hitchens, who we sadly miss, of course. That will terminate during the event, so you will be able to buy that and have it hanging on your wall.
Oh, the person we haven't mentioned is Lawrence Krauss. who's very distinguished.
Absolutely, yes. It's co-sponsored by Lawrence's Origins Project. So we have two of us organizing this event, Atheism UK and the Origins Project. Fantastic, eh? More bridges being built.
Great news.